Hey everyone, welcome to week 9 of the college football season. My name is Mike Browning. I'm the host of the College Football Road Trip at CFBRoadtrip.com. This week we are in Winston-Salem, North Carolina for this weekend's game between Duke and Wake Forest. I'm really excited to see Wake Forest in person, especially after they put up 70 points against Army last week. I just came off seeing the Charlotte Florida Atlanta game in Charlotte last week, a game that Florida Atlantic just pulled away in the second half to make that one a little anticlimactic, but the first half was a lot of fun. It was a beautiful stadium. I'll be writing about my Charlotte half of the trip coming up in the next week and a half, so be on the lookout for that on my blog. In the meantime, there's a few good games this week, so with that said, let's jump into this week's picks. We're going to start off with the Big Ten. We have number 9 Iowa traveling to Wisconsin. This is an interesting game to have to pick because you have Purdue in the middle of it all, right? You have Purdue that just absolutely destroyed Iowa, but then they absolutely got destroyed by Wisconsin. So the question is Wisconsin that much better than Iowa because of it? They still have struggled on the season. Iowa hasn't looked great, but still only has that one loss. Because of that, I'm going to go ahead and give Iowa the slight edge in this one, although it could be very close going into the fourth quarter. One of those Big Ten close matchups that you come to expect on out teams like this. But I have number 9 Iowa winning at Wisconsin in Big Ten play. Next, let's go to the Big 12. We have Texas traveling to number 16 Baylor. I've already talked about Baylor the past couple weeks being the surprise of the Big 12. Only one loss so far in the season. Texas has looked pretty decent, at least in the first half of games, but they've struggled to put opponents away in the second half, giving up huge second half leads both to Oklahoma and to Oklahoma State. The question is, will Texas be able to put a full game together? Baylor just has looked pretty decent across the board, and because of that, especially being the home team in this one, I have to go ahead and give them the edge in this. I have Baylor winning at home over Texas in Big 12 play. Next, let's go to what could be a very strong American matchup. We have number 19 SMU traveling to Houston. Houston is an unranked team, but they really only have one loss on the season, so this really should be a matchup between two top 25 opponents, in my opinion. SMU has struggled a little bit to put teams away, although they did have a big win over Tulane last week. Houston does have the one loss on the season, but they have looked pretty good as well. The winner of this will obviously have a leg up in the American Conference to go to the conference championship game. As usual, I have to go with the home team in matchups like this where it's a little too close to be able just to pick a team where they are evenly matched, and Houston is the home team in this one, so I'm going to give them the edge in a slight upset for this one. I have Houston winning at home over 19th ranked SMU in American play. Next, let's go out to an ACC versus independent matchup. We have North Carolina traveling to number 11 Notre Dame. Notre Dame is another team that has struggled from week to week going so far this season. They do have their one loss on the season. North Carolina is starting to put things back together after having a horrible start to the season. But Notre Dame is a little too strong for North Carolina, in my opinion. Because of that, I'm going to go ahead and give them the win in this one. I have number 11 Notre Dame winning at home over North Carolina. Next, let's go to another ACC team against the independent team. We have Virginia traveling to 25th ranked BYU. BYU started off the season really hot. They won a lot of games against Pac-12 teams before coming back down to earth against Boise State. Virginia is a team that I think is a little bit better than a lot of people realize because they're not ranked. I think they have a chance to be ranked if they go in and win this matchup at BYU. But this is another one where having to travel from the East Coast all the way to Utah, BYU being the home team, being a strong team at home most of the time, I'm going to go ahead and give BYU the slight edge in this one. I have 25th ranked BYU winning at home over Virginia. Next, let's go to a Mountain West matchup that should be a really great matchup this weekend. We have Fresno State traveling to 21st ranked San Diego State. San Diego State is undefeated on the season. The ranked 21st, as I mentioned, Fresno State has looked pretty good some weeks and not so good other weeks. They had the big win against UCLA, but then turn around and lose to Hawaii. San Diego State is undefeated, but has struggled a little bit from time to time. But because they're undefeated and because, again, they're the home team in this one, I'm going to go ahead and give them the edge. I have 21st ranked San Diego State winning at home over Fresno State and Mountain West play. Next, let's go to a Big Ten matchup between two ranked teams. We have 20th ranked Penn State traveling to 5th ranked Ohio State. Ohio State has looked really dominant over the past 2 to 3 weeks. They have the early surprise loss to Oregon, but have been dominant since. Penn State has lost a couple games so far this season. I don't think things are going to change anything this week. I think Ohio State has a lot to play for. They are still really striving for a college playoff spot. To do that, they have to win this game, and they have to win it pretty convincingly, and I think they will. I have 5th ranked Ohio State winning at home over 20th ranked Penn State in Big Ten play. Next, let's go to an SEC matchup. We have 10th ranked Ole Miss traveling to 18th ranked Auburn. Ole Miss coming off that win over Tennessee where people were throwing things on the field a couple of weeks ago. Auburn, again, that team that you never know if you should pick for them or against them because one week to another it's a totally wild toss-up with them. So in a matchup like this, as I've been having as my theme so far this week, go with the home team. The home team in this one is Auburn. I have Auburn winning at home over Ole Miss in SEC play in a slight upset. Next, let's go to what is the marquee matchup of this week in the Big Ten. We have 6th ranked Michigan traveling to 8th ranked Michigan State. Both of these teams being undefeated is a huge surprise on this season. Michigan, I don't think anybody predicted to be undefeated at this point. Definitely no one picked Michigan State to be undefeated at this point. Everyone thought that Michigan State was still in turnaround mode this season for a year or two down the road. They've been a big surprise in this one. If this was at Michigan, I think I would pick them handily, but it's not. It's at Michigan State, and sticking with my theme for this week, in close matchups like this, I have to give the edge to the home team, and the home team in this one is Michigan State. I think Michigan State keeps the Cinderella season going with a win this week against a rival. I have 8th ranked Michigan State winning at home over 6th ranked Michigan. And so now let's go to this week's game that I am at in Winston-Salem. We have Duke traveling to 13th ranked Wake Forest. Wake Forest is another huge surprise. Nobody saw them being undefeated at this point. It's the first 7-0 season since the 1940s, I believe. So what a miraculous season for them. The one cool fact I always throw out about Wake Forest is they are the smallest college in all of the Power 5 conferences. So for them to be able to put this team together is an amazing feat. Duke has struggled quite a bit so far this season, and I don't think that's going to change this week. Wake Forest has a little bit that they need to do on the defensive side of the ball, but their offense is just unstoppable. That's going to continue this week. I have Wake Forest winning at home over Duke in ACC play in the game that I'm excited to be at this week. So again, a lot of good matchups again this week. It's been so much fun to be on the road, first in Charlotte for last week's game and Winston-Salem for this week's game. So go enjoy the games. Again, I'll be working on my blog over the next week to week and a half for the Charlotte part of my trip and then the Winston-Salem part of my trip the week after that. So go enjoy the games, everyone. We will talk to you again next week.